Happy Monday. It is vibration workout day, or at least it kind of has been consistently for the last few weeks. Today, we are talking about a pretty popular topic, body sculpting and toning. And sometimes, you think about toning with your vibration machine, but you don't always think about body sculpting. And to me, there's a similarity in the applications that you might use your vibration machine to accomplish either of those. So if you are doing body sculpting where you're going and getting red light treatments, or you've got a red light belt, there's ways that you can get harmonious effects by merging different toys that you have. I've talked about that in other sessions. And then toning specifically, maybe you're working on some weight loss, maybe you're older and the elasticity and the skin tone just isn't what it used to be. So if you do have range of motion, there's a whole series of ways that you can do what I call direct massage. And I am coming from the northern part of the world in Canada today. I would like to know where you're from. So if you're joining me today to learn about massage and toning and taking that skin tone and doing something with it, we're going to show you some of those positions today. Let me know where you're from. If you do have some trouble spots, if you've got similar positions perhaps that you're trying already, some of this probably isn't going to be foreign to all of you, but I do hope to give you some new ideas and some new ways to penetrate and target that skin below the waist. So normally I would recommend, and I think we could do this on camera today. I'm just going to adjust my angle. Whether your goal is weight loss, whether it's toning, whether you are just trying to work on the skin tone itself, it's a good idea to warm your body up. Not so much because the massage is requiring it, but you're doing a lot of up and down. And if your range of motion is not the best, or you've got arthritis or bad knees, you might find a little bit of a warm up before you get down on the ground and do some of the applications I'm going to show you today. So I'm just going to bring the camera up here a little bit. Hi, Nancy in Seattle. Nice. I've been there. Pike's Market is like my favorite place. I've been there a couple times. Okay, so I'm going to be working in oscillating mode for these positions. Whatever your preference, if you're using pulsation, if you're using a combination, the moves are universal. To me, what type of motion is to a degree a preference, or maybe you're changing things to modify for things that you're dealing with. But for exercise, for fitness, I prefer oscillation. It has the most amount of movement. It's going to exercise those muscles more, and you've got more ability to adjust based on sensitivity, or maybe if you need to adjust for an exercise. So get your machine going at about a mid speed. I want your feet about hip width apart. We're not doing a bunch of wide squats or anything. I want you bent down just slightly, and we're going to do some pelvic tilts. So you want a nice straight core, shoulders are back. Just tilt the bum forward and backward. Just loosening up this core area is going to make not only the getting down on the ground, but the getting back up much better, which is always the challenge. You could do little hulas. Make sure any moving that you're doing, the knees aren't passing the toes. The reason we don't want to do that is it lifts the mass off the heels, and you might feel the sensation more in the kneecaps or the shins. The body cheats and tries to shift the weight. So keep those heels planted, and just make sure if you are doing movement, it's the hips that are moving and it's not just the legs, okay? We want to improve the range here. And then we're just going to do a couple of very light, not your deepest squats. We can put some arm activity into this. We're going to go down low, 3, 4, arms out. How low you go, stay within your own range of motion. Very slow, very purposeful movements. You almost want to feel that sensation building as you go up and down. The faster you go, you may get more of a cardio effect if that's your goal. What I'm going to show you after this warm-up is certainly something that would be a great recovery or warm-up as an add-on. But if you are going to be doing massage applications, I'd like you to warm up the legs, the core, and just get things moving and flowing a little bit first. So 1-2 minutes, a little bit of, like I say, pelvic tilt, some light squats, just to get things moving. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a series of positions, And like I say, depending on your range of motion, I don't do all of these massage moves all the time, but you do tend to have, certain trouble spots. For me, it's the outer hips, sort of at the back of the thighs where I start seeing that cottage cheese and that lumpy and bumpy. So doing your exercises, your squats, your lunges, your calf raises, those are the exercises that are going to shape and tone the muscles. The positions I'm showing you today are more specifically to target the skin tone and perhaps some of the lymphatics and circulation components more directly in these areas. So if you have lots of swelling in the calves, it's the end of the day, or you have cankles, as many of my clients call them, and you've got the range of motion, standing on the machine is absolutely going to give you benefit. This is just a lazier way of doing it. And like I say, is a nice way to recover and get things going differently. So this first position is a calf massage, if you haven't guessed that one out. What you want to do with this for comfort, you want to make sure that the heel is just past the surface of the machine so that you can move your feet freely. You don't want to be sitting, I mean, you can, but by putting your heels on the plate, it kind of lifts the bottom portion of the calf off of the machine. So you want to scooch forward. The calves are primarily in contact, and depending on how long your calves are, you might get a little bit of the upper thigh. You might need to do the lower or the backs of the legs in a couple to 3 variations depending on your height. This position, if you do deal with shin splints, if you've got varicose veins, any reason that you'd want to do manual massage in these lower extremities. And I would say per position, 1 to 2 minutes is really all that you need. You don't need to do 10 minutes per body part. A variation on this one, if range of motion allows, is if you really want to get lazy, I'm just sitting here on a cushion, in case you haven't noticed. You can just lay yourself right down. And if you do have excessive swelling, persistent swelling in the lower extremities, what this is doing ever so slightly is raising your legs, the lower portion of your body, a little bit higher than the rest, just giving it a little bit of help, utilizing gravity to help you get things flowing and dissipate from that area. One more variation that you could do from here is kind of like a little modified bridge where you're leaving the legs intact where your position is, and you're just going to lift the bum straight up off the ground. And what that's going to do is it's going to force more mass, more of your body weight into the machine. I would suggest, we don't want to get the back all worked up, especially if you do have a trouble back. So do this one in repetitions, maybe lift for 3 to 5 seconds, relax for 3 to 5, and lift again. Just a variation on a theme with this one. And I'm not too close to the camera right now, so I'm going to come check out if you guys have questions here in a little bit. But tell me where you're from. Tell me if you've tried any of these positions before. Another variation on this is, if you do have tight calves and your goal is to stretch, of course, anything you incorporate into the machine, it's just going to ramp up the effect of doing that same exercise on the floor. So you could just pull the toes towards you, stretch those calves out, relax. You're getting the benefit of the massage piece the whole time, but we're combining different elements and different exercises to get more benefit in less time, because that's what I'm all about. Another variation, I didn't bring it today, but I've shown in other sessions. If you do have pain in the back of the knees or arthritic knees, you could add a roller or a foam pool noodle is what I like to use, just to give you a little bit more direct contact to get into the knees a little bit deeper, something to experiment with. So the next progression on this one, we're going to move forward. And I just want to mention something I forgot. Intensity, so the speed, how fast you're going on these positions, I would recommend a mid to higher speed range. The intensity or the strength is just like when you're standing. If your feet are closer to the center, you're shaking less. If your feet are wider, you're shaking more. And I think you'll find in some of these passive direct massage positions, you'll be able to tolerate way, way more than maybe when you're standing on it or doing a squat, just because you're not absorbing all of your body's mass and supporting and balancing and doing those type of things. So the next progression is going to be the backs of the thighs, possibly the bottom of the butt cheeks, depending on your range of motion. There's 2 ways you can do this one. I typically recommend with your massage to have your controls on the far side. If you're shorter in the thighs and you sit on the machine, you kind of run the risk of hitting your bum on the buttons and turning it off or speeding it up. And sometimes you do want to speed it up or slow it down. So I like to move up to this next position like this. And then I've got the controls right between my legs if I want to ramp things up a little bit. So this one again, closer is less shake, wider, see, I just turned it off. Wider is more shake. And I would suggest for this one, you want to, depending on your tolerance, if you're just new with the machine and you find that there's a lot of head vibe and you're not quite used to that, it's not harmful, but it does take some getting used to. And as women, we carry a lot of tension in the neck and the shoulders, so we tend to fight it and resist it, and we actually amplify it because we make it worse. So just lean forward slightly, and you'll notice 90 to 95% of that head shake has dissipated. If, just like the calf massage, if you want to add a little bit of variation, maybe you're tight in the hamstrings, maybe you're dealing with a condition like cerebral palsy. I have a lot of my families that instead of spending 20 minutes to an hour a night doing these stretches, take the exercises that you're to be doing on the floor or on the bed. This might be part of just some recovery that you're supposed to be doing from a knee surgery or a hip. If you've got the range of motion and you can get the hamstrings on there, just reach for the toes, no bouncing, hold again for about 2 to 3 seconds, and release. Only work within your own range of motion. Maybe this is as far as you can go. Hold, 2, 3, 4, and release. Okay, and again, as you're going through this, once you're sitting on the machine, sometimes you find you relax a little bit, and then sitting up, it's not as bad as when you first started. It's just your body's not used to this new environment. It wants to know what's going on first. It doesn't want to be tricked in any way. One more variation that you can also do while you're in this seated position, instead of just sitting here, or if you're not looking to stretch and you want to do a little bit more upper body. So while we're working on the skin tone, getting the massage more direct to these body parts is also amazing if you've got lymph blockages, if you're constipated, if you've got low back pain. There's a million reasons that you want to learn to get comfortable sitting on the machine. But an add-on I'll show you while we're dealing with the cellulite and the skin tone. Take your hands and tuck one, palms down, kind of just at the top of your thigh where it meets the butt cheek. Other one, okay. Your elbows are naturally bent because most people have longer arms than they do torsos. If you're finding your arms are short and it's hard to reach, just lean forward slightly. And you're going to feel it in that, more in the low back, that bra strap area. You can arch up like a cat, push those shoulders, roll them around. And again, the whole time you're getting a little bit of skin tone, but now the hands are getting some direct benefit. There's no body mass going into it, so you're getting the wrists and the back of the arms, the bat wings a little bit. We all know they can use some attention, okay? So if you can't get the entire buttocks on the machine, you might want to move up and do another round just with the glutes on the machine. And again, I'm suggesting 1, maybe 2 minutes per position. So we're going to move up now. We've done the underside, the undercarriage. We want to do the rest of the butt cheek, the hip kind of area, the top of the bum, and that tire, okay? And again, if you just bear with me, I'm kind of set and forget here. So I just want to get through all the moves, and then you can blast me with your questions. So when you lay down, you'll be able to shimmy yourself down a little bit further. If this is too hard for you, get into position on your hands and start like this. You don't want your feet flat on the ground. You're just going to kind of feel it in the tailbone. Okay, and if range of motion allows, you're going to get a little bit more action this way. And you can go right up to that sort of that mid back, right, where your high waist would be, your true waist. Okay? And again, 2 to 3 minutes max, or 1 to 2 minutes, max per position. And, if depending on your range of motion and how tall your machine is, okay, I want you guys making sure if you're going to try some of these moves, you can get yourself back up off the floor. You might have an aerobic step or a block that gets you more level with the machine. I like to just have a little bit of padding, but anything you can do to give yourself a little bit more real estate just to maneuver yourself around. Okay. Now, the outer hip. So the hip, the outer thigh, we're going to kind of do a half turn. We're going to pick up our bum, and we're going to move it towards the back edge of the machine. Your hip is your point of contact. So wherever your hip is, if your hip's way out on the edge, you're getting the most movement. If you start with your hip dead center, you're getting the minimal amount of movement. So find somewhere that's comfortable to start. It's not about getting your whole thigh on. Just get used to this position and maneuvering yourself around. So my hip is kind of off center, not at the dead center middle, but kind of halfway between the middle and the outer edge. I'm going to lay my thigh, and I'm going to bring the other one up on top of it. So this surface is on the machine. If you want to get a little bit more of the waist, if you've got that tire coming around the edge, come down lower, okay? You might need a couple pillows depending on the length of your torso, okay? And again, 1 to 2 minutes. There's a few variations with this one. You know, maybe you've got hip pain, or maybe you've got tight IT bands. You know, kind of maneuver your body. The more you kind of wiggle around and experiment with your positions, you're going to feel the stimulation more prominent in different areas depending on how you position your body on it, okay? So you are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. One little tip for my ladies: if you don't have a whole lot of upper body strength, do not do this right after you did an upper body workout. You need to have some arms to do some of the maneuvering. So maybe this would be a good full set to do on an off day. Now, of course, you would have to do the other side. I'm not going to do the other side and have you see the back of me, but you would just simply flip over and repeat on the other side, okay? The very next area that we're going to do is the top of the thighs. So we're going to do a complete 360, 180, I guess it is, okay? And I want you landing on the larger medial part of the thighs. The kneecaps are going to be just off the edge of the machine. Just rest yourself up on your forearms. If you want it a little bit more intense, a little bit more body weight, again, play with your angles. I like to bring my feet up. Gets a little bit more mass into it. I can feel my legs going a little bit deeper into it. You can move your legs. You know, the more you move them around, the more you're going to feel them in different areas of the thigh. You can turn it into a stretch. Really, you are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. I sound like a broken record, I know. The number one question asked by most female users: can I massage my tummy? Yes, you can massage your tummy. You know, really, in all the years I've been doing this, women have certainly never asked for permission as much as begged for forgiveness. And I've had women massage everywhere. It really does boil down to a tolerance. You know, if you've got recent incisions, issues, you know, just like anything else, you know, you need to know your parameters. But there's nothing wrong with shimmying down, maybe an inch or two more, and just up to that belly button. If you have incision scars, if you get that mommy tummy, you know, stretch marks, you know, this does do a lot for the water, the skin tone. I feel it's awesome on my low back. I can't really describe that on video. So you can do this for an additional, you know, 1 to 2 minutes. I wouldn't do something like this for 10, 12 minutes, but you know, I've got clients that aren't necessarily using this exercise for skin tone. It seems to help with their digestion or their menstrual cramps or their constipation. So, you know, if it feels good, you know, usually you're okay. If you're finding it's uncomfortable, or you know, your hip bones are hitting it and you might need a little mat, you might need to modify things based on your personal needs or any deficiencies that you're dealing with. Okay. Woo. Normally I'm not rambling. I'm relaxing and drinking tea while I do these things. So I'm going to grab my glasses. And so, you know, if I were doing and adhering to that 1 to 2 minutes, if I did every position for 1 minute, you know, I'm going to be 6-7 minutes total. If I bump that up to 2, you're doubling the time. So usually more than able to accomplish that routine within the course of your preset time. I wouldn't necessarily do this every day. I think everybody's going to be a little bit different based on their tolerance. You know, you don't need to be on the machine for hours and hours a day. You can't do everything. I do about 2 or 3 regular massage positions. Once in a while I do everywhere, but yeah, 3 to 4 minutes. I have a couple that I add on at the end of my workout just for that extra maintenance piece. And it, you know, it kind of winds you down in a nice way. You can also use any of these as a warm-up. Maybe you're going to the gym or the pool. You know, it's going to warm up that muscle tissue, expedite blood flow, it oxygenates the blood, the lymph, you know. So, you know, however you want to do this, if your goal is skin tone, specifically the direct massage is going to help. For toning in general, which, you know, is a little bit of a bigger category, you know, you want that muscle definition too. So you got to do the squats, you got to do the push-ups. But if you've done the work, you're beginning to lose weight or you're retaining water, some of these direct positions are going to really enhance the work part that you've been doing, and they feel pretty darn good too, besides. So I'm going to take a look-see here. Just a second here. There's a few questions here. I said hello to my Nancy in Seattle. Hello, Dottie. How are you? Nice to see Indiana. Is this being recorded? Yes, it will be recorded for future use, and you'll see it on the I believe the Life Pro page, the main one, as well as the VIP page. Oh, Laura already answered that. Thank you, Laura. Totally new to this. If you were to do full body massage, starting from calves to upper body, how long should this take? Upper body, you know, I would almost prefer to cover in a completely different session. If I was going to give you a license to kind of wing it on your own, certainly there's no harm in laying, you know, the meatier part of the back of the arms or the biceps, or there's all kinds of other reasons you massage upper body, and some of that will be, sounds like another session, Laura. How do we tone upper body? But you know, maybe you're dealing with carpal tunnel. So there's other issues that present in the upper body that I give you more tips for. I wouldn't lay your breasts directly on the plate. I think a better way to massage this area is maybe in a modified push-up to get the movement, but I wouldn't be laying those directly on the plate. Just, I don't know what we're dealing with. Are they natural? Are they real? Is there you know, there just hasn't been, to me, enough evidence, and you're not going to go to the masseuse and have them massage that area, but you can get some movement this way. The back is very much a tolerance thing. I do have customers that do it, but you want to make sure you're actually getting your head off the plate. So you kind of, you know, do this contortionist move where you lay down on the plate. And I'll tell you what, I will plan to do very soon, an upper body version of this. But skin is an organ. So whether you're massaging the calves, the bum, the back, it kind of has an overall effect. You know, just like when we're trying to lose weight and we begin to lose weight, we don't get to decide where it comes from. Your body does that. Same in the way we gain. You know, you eat a whole bunch of potato chips, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to go to your booty. It usually doesn't go where you want it to go. So same lesson applies here. So, you know, start with the lower body, get used to that. That's just like weight loss is the biggest bang for your buck doing those leg exercises. You're going to massage the most volume of skin. If you want to experiment with the arms, same parameters. I would say 1 to 2 minutes. I don't like to say how long does it take to do my whole body, because, you know, maybe you're going to go 20 minutes a position. I wouldn't recommend that. I would say total down on the ground as its own program, maybe 10 minutes maximum. It's not about going longer and longer and getting more and more results. What you do with static exercises like this, you know, it's not like a squat where you can pick up some weights or change the type of squat. So with massage, it's very critical that you play within your ranges of speed. And I never give people a number. It drives them crazy. I like to give you ranges. And part of the reason I talk about that is, let's say this week we started at 50. Okay, we did everything we did was at 50. With massage, I kind of like the higher speeds, the more tonic, the quicker movement. And I've got, you know, most of us have yoga pads built in. So it's different than when you're doing a weight-bearing exercise like a squat or a push-up. But with your massage, mix up your speed range from week to week. So if you are doing something like this regularly, you know, maybe this week we did everything at 50. Next week we're going to do it at 55. And then the next week we're going to do it at 60. And then we'll drop down to 45. So there's no exact number. That the real reason the speeds are such a critical tool and such an effective tool is the ability to mix things up, spice things up. Hang on, I'm coming out of focus here. Let me see if it likes me better. No, maybe. Sorry that I'm a little bit fuzzy right now, or at least that's how I'm looking on my end. But you know, your body gets confused and it has to adapt to these changing speeds. So the best way to keep these positions thoughtless, you know, you're in a habit. You don't need to change up the moves all the time. You can just change up your settings. you know, or maybe you did P1 last week and you're going to do P2 this week and P3 next week. So you can do a lot of different things. Just make sure you're changing something weekly, whether it's the speed, you know, whether it's the distance between your feet, and even bringing them closer sometimes, and, you know, forcing your body to do the exercises with a closer position, which challenges your balance and your stability more. You know, there's these neurological changes that occur when you're on the plate, and it forces your body to kind of ever adjust and challenge itself further. But like anything, you will get stagnant. Your body gets used to it. So pick a day. If you're doing your thing regularly, even 2 to 3 times a week, you know, Monday comes, okay, we're changing speeds today. Change something. And it makes it a little bit more fun. You know, variety is the spice of life too. And with your fitness positions, your squats in the beginning as the warm up, if you want to put a little bit more challenge into them, that would be fine as well. But, you know, same methodology. Change up those speeds just to stop the muscles from getting too used to any one thing. That was a very long answer, Facebook user. My apologies. Could you please do more videos for lymphatic drainage and lipedema? Joanne, I actually have a specific page dedicated just to lipedema, Durkheim's disease, those types of conditions. Anytime you're using a vibration machine, it's moving the lymphatics. And you know, we live in a world where everything has to have a label on it, and we have to have a diagnosis and a sticker. I would say the majority of people I'm dealing with lipedema are not diagnosed, but I know they have it. Lipedema is a different condition from lymphedema, but they're both lymph issues, and how I physically treat them on the machine is more driven by you, what physically you can do. So whether you're doing weight loss and toning, or you're trying to, you know, maybe target the lymphatics in the lower legs, it's about what your range of motion, your physical conditioning at this time will allow you to do. With circulation, you know, we've got this pump, this heart that moves the blood, and as we increase muscle activity and do cardio, the rate of which our blood is moving is dictated by that pump, but it's always moving. Lymph is a little bit different. We don't have a lymph pump. We are the pump. So when we move, lymph moves. So for conditions like lipedema, where that immune system and the lymphatic systems have been compromised, you know, getting that lymphatic system moving regularly. You know, it's not always a big workout. Sometimes it's 5, 6, 7 times a day for a couple of minutes. You know, and if you're dealing with chronic conditions, fatigue, you know, excessive weight, joint pain, sometimes it's kinder to start in a shorter regime of that 2 to 3 minute range, just to get the energy levels up, let you have some quality of life, and do it whenever you feel symptoms presenting themselves. The ankles are swelling, you know, you know, maybe you're getting loss of sensation. There's a whole range of symptoms associated with lipedema, but a lot of those same symptoms are the same as someone perhaps that's dealing with chronic arthritis or osteoporosis. So the symptoms a lot of times overlap between conditions. What you do on the machine is not specifically, you know, to cater to the condition. It's more to cater to what you're physically able to do. So specifically for lymph, Joanna, anything you can do on the machine, even just standing for a couple of minutes, is going to have a good whole body effect. A lot of the exercises and massage positions I showed you today are just going to target those areas more specifically. And if you're dealing with things like lymphomas, or you're recovering from surgeries, it's just going to help ramp up as a recovery tool. So no black and white answer, but if you are interested, my group is vibrationforfatdisorders.com. You do have to have the condition. It's more of a medical group that I support, but a lot of the principles and exercises that I'm doing here on Life Pro's page mirror that. There's just a lot less, much more below baseline type of clientele that I'm working with. What else do we have here? We have Laura replying to Life Pro. Yay, thanks. Dottie, I have trouble with turning my machine off in these moves. I have the Turbo 3D. It's very sensitive. Yes. Any suggestions? Put your mat on it. You know, just putting your mat over the surface of the machine is going to cover up those buttons, and you're not going to have the issues. So that's a good way to do it. Or just put a little piece of the mat over the control part itself if you want to have a mat's going to take a little bit of the sensation away. The bigger we are, the more we tend to be able to absorb it in those types of positions. But, you know, if you got a sticky out tailbone or hip bone, you might want to use a mat. One comes with your machine, but that's the best way to resolve that one. Or as I said, position yourself so that you're not as exposed to the buttons. Don't put them behind you, have them in front of you. Maybe turn your machine around if you've got it set up in a fashion that doesn't allow you to do that. Experiment and you'll figure out something that works. Replying to Facebook, already answered. Oh, and Dottie, if you do have any other issues, give us a call. I'm sure they'd be able to help you troubleshoot a little bit further. Thank you. Laura dropped a link to where you can find out more information. Vibration plates, and I also want to point out there, for some of the things I'm doing today, is there any one machine that's better than, none of them are necessarily more effective, but they do have different features. Some of them have lock stops, and, so if you plan on doing a lot of these type of positions, those are maybe some of the features you want to pay attention to. Maybe you want something that's got a slap wrist remote so it's attached to you. So think about your application. There's no perfect machine for every application. For something like this, these exercises we're doing today, I would say that the micro model's probably a little too small unless you're maybe massaging one leg at a time. It has its perfect purpose, but if you're doing massage purposes, I think the waiver and the larger models, you're going to enjoy having a little bit more real estate to work with. And if you're a little bit larger yourself, a little bit more mass, you might take advantage of a larger platform. A larger platform doesn't mean more performance. It really is driven, your decision as far as buying, what are you going to be doing on this thing? And this is just there's a million things you can do, but these are some pretty cool options. My arms look amazing. Oh, thank you, Laura. I always joke about this. I do some upper body exercises, but I'm always moving machines around. I've got machines over here. I've got machines over there. So no, I got some pretty big bad weights here on the weekends. So I wanted to talk a little bit about other ways that you can ramp up your toning and your weight loss. And there's a reason that those are prominently displayed. Adding weight, doing weight bearing exercises are going to give you that muscle tone and fatigue you faster. So incorporating weights is a really good way to help with that. How can I get lower shin excessive edema? It's my Carmen, right? How can I get lower shin? Oh, okay, sorry, lower shins. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me for a diagnosis. I know, Carmen. Hello, Miss Faithful, for joining my sessions. And I'm glad you asked that. It's probably the only one I didn't show. We're not normally looking at toning our shins per se, but what Carmen is referring to is how she has excessive edema in this region. And if you have lots of varicose veins, maybe you have shin splints. There's a number of reasons you might want to do the top of the shins. I'll just add that one. So I absolutely recommend a mat for this one. So you want something padded. We're not going to turn the machine on, but depending on your range of motion, once you're down here, there's different ways you can get on the machine. But what I want you to do is move forward again until the feet are just kind of hooked off the edge. You can start in a position like this, and you've got probably about half of your body weight, 3/4 of it going into it. If you don't have bad knees or this isn't uncomfortable for you, you can sit on those legs and get more of your body mass into it. And you're kind of just drilling them into the machine a little bit deeper. And then you can do other things. If they're more on the outer edges, maybe you want to lean this way, for 5-10 seconds. And then maybe lean this way for 5-10 seconds. Experiment. Once you're in this position, you'll know whether you like it or you don't like it. And, maybe you do a variation. You're doing a few like this, and then you're coming to sit back onto it. But make sure those feet are off, just sort of loosely on the ground. This one, as long as the pad is on here, it's completely fine to have the kneecaps on there. And I think you might find in this position, you're going to get a lot of movement in the low back as well. Let me turn that on and just show you what that looks like. So when you're in this position, be very careful with the position of your knees. Just like when you're standing, the closer you are, the less you shake. The wider you are, the more you shake. And if you've got low back trouble, you're going to absolutely fall in love with this position. But more to address Carmen's issue, if you really want to hammer that blood flow and get things deep, just sort of lean back on these. And you'll get a little upper body action if you throw your elbows under your knees. Just relax. I'm all about combining it all. The more you can do, the better, right? Okay. I hope that answered your question. All right. Lisa from New Hampshire. Nice. Awesome. Okay. Have I rambled anybody away today? Not so much. If you do have any questions about some of the exercises we've done, or something I maybe haven't addressed as far as toning, general recap for today's little chat. If you're looking at losing weight, if you're looking at improving your skin tone, your definition, there's kind of two parts of the equation. The definition, the strength, the muscular part is going to be squats, lunges, exercises related to that. But the skin itself can be ramped up. You can get additional benefit by applying certain body parts directly. It really boils down to your range of motion, your tolerance, and what areas you're trying to treat. So if there's somewhere that's just challenging for you, work towards some of these positions. And it's never the getting down on the ground, it's the getting back up. So just make sure that you're working within your own parameters. 1, maybe 2 minutes per body part is really all you need to take advantage of the benefits of this. And the easiest way to progress, because you don't really have a lot of ways you can mix these exercises up. I gave you a few variations today, but play with your speed ranges. Use your preset programs. So, every week, if you're doing these types of exercises regularly for 2 oh, Laura, yes, I do have inner thigh. Thank you. See, I forgot one. I'll show you that here just in 2 seconds. Change up your settings from week to week, and your body doesn't get too stagnant or too used to any one thing. Thank you, Laura. Inner thighs, that part that wears out the jeans first. Tip when you're doing your standing poses, okay? So to tone the muscles in those areas, take a ball. I love this new set if you haven't got it already. But you just want something that you can place above the knees. So when you're doing your standing exercises, put this between your legs, and it's going to force those muscles on the inner and outer thighs. But to massage it, you got to get laid down on the ground in front of the machine. You're going to get your body as close as you possibly can. I do not use a mat because I got more than enough padding. And get your hip in sort of line in the middle of the machine. Where you put your leg on the machine is going to decide how much it's moving you, your amplitude. So you want to bring this up, and you want to hook. You're hooking that inner thigh right on there. And you just keep turning. And again, 1 to 2 minutes on this part. If you want more intensity, move this way and bring your leg a little bit further up, and you'll get a little bit more shake. If it's too much shake, move the groin area closer to the center of the machine, and you'll reduce it that way. And I don't have enough wall space, but to do the other side, you simply flip over, drape this one up over top, and do the same thing. Okay? 1 to 2 minutes per position. I don't normally do my inner thighs, but when I first got into the machines years ago with my awesome knee, I used to get just all kinds of pain on the inner and outer tendons. And I used to do that one a lot just to loosen up the muscles. I even sometimes put a ball or a roller in there on the plate. So, maybe you're doing it for skin tone, but it's also a really good way to massage the groin area, the inner thigh, if that's an area of concern that you want to target as well. Again, you're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. I hope that makes sense, Laura. And again, it's almost a workout, just, moving around and doing all these moves on the floor. So experiment, you don't have to do all of them all the time. I mean, if that's your routine and that's something you want to build into your, it is really out of focus. Is that better? What's so funny? I dropped $100 on a webcam 2 weeks ago because my laptop one I thought was the problem, but I think sometimes the internet feed is intermittent, and I do apologize for those. What else can I tell you? And yeah, massage, you don't need to do it every day. If you've got a chronic area of concern, or, maybe you're using it for therapeutic reasons, some tension, that's a different story. But for the skin tone piece, 2 to 3 times a week, in complement to your existing workout. If you don't have a workout planned, or that's a foreign word in your department, try adding a good couple of squats before you do this, a couple of pelvic tilts. Fire up those leg muscles. And I think not only is it going to expedite circulation and lymphatic movement, but, a little bit adds up. And if you can do that early in the day, especially if you're a post-40 woman, it's going to elevate that metabolism so that, idle, you are taking a few more calories out of that bank throughout the course of the day. And again, the range of motion required for today's exercises We can add mass to burn. There's a bazillion sessions that Life Row has done between Amber and Roseanne about, how to burn calories and weight loss. This is a really great way to complement and just ramp up some of the results. If you have lost the weight and you've got the saggy skin, maybe you have some scarring or some discoloration. There's a million reasons people want to target skin tone. Outside of that, it just feels really awesome. A lot of my clients have personal space issues. They don't go to the masseuse, but they'll do this. So, whatever your motivation for doing this, it has a lot of different variety of benefits. But you, like a manual massage, you're moving a lot of lymph, you're doing a lot of circulation. Keep yourself hydrated. Give your body the building blocks it needs to complement the activity. So I hope that was beneficial today. If you do have any toning or massage specific questions, I'd be happy to answer those. My computer crashed as I was waiting for an answer. New Hobart for Christmas. Hobart, how can I start losing edema in my lower shins? Oh, I just showed that position very quickly. I'll show you again. Mat this up first, and you'll see it on the repeat as well. But you kind of just get the knees past, and just make sure you've got your feet. You can do it like this. If you want to have a little less body weight into it, or that it's too uncomfortable to have too much weight. Or if you do want to add more weight, you can just sit back onto them, add your hands, your elbows, kind of a 2-in-1 position. So that's how you get the shins. But I went into a little bit more of a ramble. It will be posted as a recorded session prior, Carmen. And make sure you put a mat on for that one as well. Okay? So need help. And keep us posted on that one. I think you might be impressed. If you're prone to bruising, Carmen, you might notice all the more reason. Just make sure that you're using a mat. Sometimes when you're dealing with chronic conditions, you tend to be more prone to bruising, and it's not necessarily painful, but you may not realize that you're just marking yourself up on one of the grooves. So make sure that you put a mat. These are planning to come. One of my worst areas as well. Thanks for asking. And I could literally do this for 4 days of how you massage every body part. I definitely will slate maybe sooner than later an upper body toning. So how do we do from the waist up? But a lot of it is, getting that ability to get down on the ground, add range of motion to your exercise routine. If you do not have it now, focus on it so you can get down on the ground and take advantage of some of these. I almost want to call them a hack. There's just so many things that you can do on these machines, and the more you kind of roll around and play with your body at different settings and different angles, you're going to find what works best for you. And experimentation not only shows you, a few new tricks or what might work best for you, but it gives you a little bit more confidence. There's sometimes is a little bit of a fear when you're doing, your head shaking or something, you're itchy and you're not really understanding what's happening. And it's just very ultra low movement, ultra low impact movement. There's nothing to fear with any of these exercises. If you're dealing with recent surgery in some of the areas we're trying to affect today, or recent incisions, there are reasons that sometimes this could be considered a modified exercise if you are recovering from surgery. It really depends. We want to make sure that it's in line with your particular treatment. And if you are looking at using them prior to getting back onto your regular activities, we just want to make sure that your doctor's on board and that we're giving you the most successful path for that recovery. So if you're looking at using some of these positions for medical use specifically, please message us, or just ensure that your doctor's okay. It's more the getting up and down off the ground. I want to make sure you guys aren't pooping yourself out or putting yourself in harm's way. Do you give helpful tips for those with rheumatoid arthritis in the group? Heidi, I'm assuming RA's rheumatoid is what you're referring to. Again, I'm so not a label person. It really depends on you personally. Hi, I just joined. Have you already spoke about losing the stomach area? I have to a degree. Just let me finish up this last question, author, and I'll get back to you. Heidi, for rheumatoid arthritis, it kind of depends on how it's affecting you. I could line up 20 of my clients with rheumatoid, and they're all dealing with different levels of physical fitness, range of motion, diet, weight. So what I would suggest, and what I'm going to assume with rheumatoid, obviously the joint pain is pretty bad. any of this is going to help detoxify the joints, manage pain, manage skin tone. But what I would suggest with RA is, it's not just about treating the symptoms. Depending on where it's affecting you, if it's the legs, you want to build up strength, add some squats in addition to this. If it's upper body, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, there's ways you can use the machine seated. It really depends. You have good days and bad days, but I would say if you're having a bad day, short, more frequent sessions, just to help manage those symptoms. Once you're moving and feeling better, some of these other things, everything's possible. You can do any of these things regardless of what condition you do, but ask yourself, should you be doing them? So if it took you 20 minutes to get up off the floor after we did today's exercises, yes, you maybe should be looking at some squats or some lunges just to help you facilitate to getting to some of these. And, again, specific to, I'd want to know specifically kind of the symptoms. If it's just pain, even just a couple of minutes as a warm-up, you might find that the pain alleviates itself and you're able to do some of these positions. So another good reason to do a warm-up. I hope that makes sense, Heidi. And play within your limits. Even if you're having your worst day, it's going to give you energy. It's going to give you that lift, the heavy feet. It's going to help with the pain. Just make sure you're doing your part, getting the rest, getting the water. But yeah, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised as how it may help you manage your symptoms to help you get to some of the fitness and the toning stuff if you're struggling getting to these type of things. Have I already talked about losing the stomach? Okay, this was, yes, we did speak briefly. Today isn't so much of a weight loss as it is a toning session. So if we want to lose mass in the tummy area, we're going to have to burn calories. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. There's lots of videos Life Pros provided. But you can massage that area directly. It was about halfway through. Really depends on your range of motion if you've got the ability to get up and down on the ground. But I would recommend skin tone, targeting those areas in complement with exercises. Maybe you're doing some planks. Planks are my favorite exercise to target that area because they burn more calories than crunches. And a lot of my clients have bad backs, or if the technique's not there on a crunch, it's very challenging in the environment of a vibration platform. So I by far prefer planks. So if you wanted to target the tummy area, do a couple of squats and a couple of planks before, and then get into your massage, something that's going to help target that area specifically. If there's no other questions, I have rambled away 47 minutes of your Monday. I hope you guys had a really, really good weekend. I look forward to joining you. This is becoming a very regular thing. I will look at maybe getting the toning. Laura, maybe we can do toning next Monday. And we had a plan. Lauren and I had a plan about how, we're going to do it this way. And then, and here I am changing it already. So, if we don't always give you the most notice, it's because sometimes, what they refer to as the talent, I refer to as the yap on the other end, changes her mind or has bad internet issues. So let's plan for next Monday to do the upper body toning session. And we're going to do some other sessions for you throughout the course of the month on Mondays, 6:30 Eastern time, 3:30 Pacific time. See me next week. I think I'm going to be around for a product launch again on Friday. And if there's any sessions you guys want me to talk about, give us ideas. I'm only stuck within the four corners of my own brain, and sometimes I forget different things, because I do my thing. So if there's anything specifically that you guys want to know when it comes to a vibration machine or how you incorporate your other amazing Life Pro tools into your vibration machine, give us a shout. And if there's enough meat on the bone, we'll do a segment on it. If not, at the very least, I'll be happy to, post those questions in the VIP group so that everybody can learn, and I'll dive in there and answer those too sometimes. Have a great Monday, what's left of it. And again, hopefully I'll see you on Friday, but for sure this time, same place next week, and we'll talk about how to get rid of these. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the day. Don't work.